Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from my heart. The best investment you will ever make is not in stocks, not in real estate, not in a business, but in yourself. You are the greatest asset you will ever own. Everything in your life, everything you dream about, everything you want to achieve will only come to pass if you decide to put value into the person you see in the mirror every single morning. Change doesn't start with somebody else handing you a chance. It starts with you handing yourself the discipline, the growth, the courage to rise up. The best investment you can ever make is in yourself, because no matter where you come from, what you've been through, or how much you currently have, you are the foundation for every single thing that happens in your life. Think about it this way. If you don't build your mind, your spirit, your health, and your abilities, then nothing else you chase will matter. Money can come and go. Opportunities can be given or taken away. People can walk in and out of your life. But the one thing that never leaves you is you. When you strengthen yourself, when you put value into yourself, you are creating something that nobody else can rob you of. It's like planting seeds in a garden. If you don't plant the right seeds, you can't expect to see a harvest. You cannot keep waiting on luck or chance or somebody else to make your dreams come alive. You have to be willing to water your own soil and nurture your own growth. Too often, people will spend all their energy pouring into things outside of themselves. They'll buy clothes to impress others. They'll spend hours on social media comparing their lives to somebody else's highlight reel. They'll chase approval from people who don't even think about them at night. But then they forget the most important place to put that energy: in their own growth. Imagine what your life would look like if all the time you wasted on trying to fit in was spent learning a new skill, building discipline, studying success, or sharpening your mind. You wouldn't even recognize yourself in a year. That's the power of investing in you. The growth might not be seen right away, but just like compound interest, the little deposits you make into yourself will eventually explode into something much greater than you ever expected. Now, here's the truth a lot of people don't want to hear. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to wake up one morning and decide to hand you your dream life. The job isn't going to call you out of the blue. The business isn't going to build itself, and the door isn't going to open unless you knock on it. The moment you realize that you are the best chance you've got, your entire life begins to shift, because then you stop waiting and you start working. You stop making excuses and you start building. You stop blaming others and you start taking responsibility. That's what investing in yourself does. It gives you ownership over your future. And I'm not just talking about going to school or reading books, even though those are important. I'm talking about the daily choices that determine who you're becoming. Are you disciplined enough to wake up early and focus on your goals? Or are you hitting snooze over and over again? Are you fueling your body with things that give you energy? Or are you draining yourself with habits that keep you stuck? Are you surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, or people who keep you at the same level because they don't want to grow? These are the investments you make every day, and they are either pushing you closer to your dreams or pulling you further away. There will always be challenges. There will always be struggles. But when you've been pouring into yourself, you become equipped to handle them. When you read, when you learn, when you work on your confidence, when you build your skills, the storms don't knock you down the same way. You may bend, but you don't break, because the investment you made in yourself becomes your armor, your strength, your weapon against whatever life throws at you. And when you look back one day, you'll realize that the best thing you ever did wasn't waiting for someone else to give you a chance. It was deciding that you were worth the investment all along. Stop waiting for others to come and change your life, because the truth is that growth is your responsibility and yours alone. Too many people waste years of their lives thinking that someone else will one day show up and hand them a golden opportunity. They wait for their boss to finally recognize their talent. They wait for family members to support them. They wait for society to make things easier. And while they are waiting, life keeps on passing by. If you want to change your circumstance, if you want to rise to another level, you have to take ownership of your own journey. Nobody else can walk the path for you. Nobody else can carry the weight of your dreams. And nobody else can fight the battles that belong to you. You are the author of your own story. And until you pick up the pen and write it yourself, you will always live by the script that others create for you. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you caught yourself blaming the world for your situation? It's easy to say you don't have enough money, that you didn't get the right education, that you don't have the right connections, but none of that will ever move you forward. Blame is a prison, and the longer you stay in it, the more you lose your power. The second you stop waiting and stop blaming is the same second you start unlocking the freedom to do something about your situation. When you take responsibility, you realize that even if life has been unfair, you still have the power to choose what to do next. That shift in perspective is the very foundation of growth, because it places the future back in your hands where it belongs. There is also a dangerous habit many people have, and that is waiting for the perfect moment. They convince themselves that they will chase their dreams once the timing is right, once they feel ready, once the stars align. But the reality is that there is no such thing as a perfect moment. If you keep waiting for everything to line up perfectly, you will still be waiting 20 years from now. Growth does not happen in comfort zones, and success does not arrive in neat packages wrapped with bows. Growth happens in the messy moments, in the uncertain times, in the hours where you feel like you're fumbling your way forward. The people you look up to did not start because they had all the answers. They started because they knew the cost of waiting was greater than the cost of failing. When you stop waiting for others, you also stop giving away your power. The truth is, people are often wrapped up in their own struggles and their own responsibilities. They may want to help you, but they don't always have the ability or even the time. And some people may never want to help you at all, but that should never stop you. Because if you tie your growth to their actions, you'll be stuck whenever they decide to move slow, whenever they change their minds, or whenever they walk away. But when you own your growth, nobody can hold you back, nobody can determine your pace, and nobody can steal what you are building inside yourself. That independence is the only true freedom you can ever have. Responsibility may feel heavy, but it is also powerful. It means that you don't have to keep waiting on apologies from the past to heal. You don't have to wait on a job to validate you. You don't have to wait on family to believe in you. You can decide right now to believe in yourself, to validate yourself, and to heal yourself. Taking responsibility is not about ignoring the fact that life is tough or that challenges exist. It is about deciding that no matter how tough life gets, you will not stop moving. You will learn, you will adapt, you will build, because your growth is your duty. Nobody else can do that for you. Sharpening your skills, building discipline, and never stopping the process of learning are the cornerstones of becoming the person you dream to be. Talent will take you only so far, but skill, sharpened by practice, consistency, and hunger to grow, will take you places talent alone cannot. Every great achiever you've ever admired didn't get there simply because they were gifted. They got there because they took the gift they had and worked on it relentlessly until it became something extraordinary. A singer may have a natural voice, but if she never trains, never studies music, never practices her craft, that voice will never reach its highest potential. A businessman may have an idea, but if he doesn't study the market, doesn't learn how to manage people, doesn't master the skills of negotiation and leadership, that ideal will remain just an ideal. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is the discipline to sharpen what they've been given and the courage to keep learning even when it's uncomfortable. Discipline is what separates the average from the exceptional. It's not glamorous and it's not easy, but it is necessary. Discipline is waking up early when you want to sleep in. Discipline is studying when you'd rather be scrolling. Discipline is saying no to temporary pleasures so you can say yes to long-term success. Every act of discipline is like a brick being laid down in the foundation of your future. The stronger that foundation, the higher you can build. Without discipline, even the most talented individual will crumble under the weight of opportunity. You cannot expect to step into greatness if you have not built the daily habits that keep you steady once greatness arrives. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about training yourself. It's the gym for your character. And every time you practice it, you get stronger. The commitment to never stop learning is what guarantees that you don't just achieve success, but sustain it. The world is always changing. Industries are always shifting. And the person who stops learning becomes outdated. Knowledge is fuel, and the more you gather it, the more power you have to navigate challenges. Reading books, taking courses, listening to mentors, seeking wisdom from those ahead of you, these are all investments that pay the highest return. Pride will trick you into thinking you know enough, but humility will push you to keep learning. The more you learn, the more doors open. Because learning doesn't just give you information, it gives you perspective. It expands your vision, sharpens your decision-making, and equips you with tools others may not have. Skills, discipline, and learning are like a three-strand cord. Alone, each has power, but together, they make you unbreakable. When you sharpen your skills, you increase your value. When you build discipline, you protect that value. When you commit to lifelong learning, you multiply that value. Every time you work on these three, you are setting yourself apart from the majority who are waiting for success without preparing for it. Opportunity always finds the prepared because opportunity without preparation is wasted. When preparation meets opportunity, doors open, lives change, and dreams become real. It is also important to understand that sharpening your skills is not always about adding more. Sometimes it's about refining what you already have. A knife doesn't need more metal to cut sharper. It just needs sharpening. In the same way, you may not need to completely reinvent yourself, but you do need to work on polishing your strengths, correcting your weaknesses, and elevating your craft. Some people want to jump from one thing to the next. But the truth is, if you take one gift, one strength, and pour discipline and continuous learning into it, you can turn that into something that changes your entire life. Every day you either sharpen or you dull. Every choice you make either strengthens your discipline or weakens it. Every decision to learn or ignore is building your future or stealing from it. The people at the top are not the ones who were handed everything. They're the ones who never stop working on themselves. If you want to stand among them, you must commit to this process daily, knowing that the grind, the study, the practice, and the repetition are not punishment, but the very investment that transforms you into the version of yourself capable of handling the life you've been dreaming about. The way you speak to yourself matters more than most people realize, because the voice inside your head is the loudest and most influential one you will ever hear. Every word you tell yourself either builds you up or tears you down. And over time, those words create the reality you live in. If you constantly repeat to yourself that you are not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, that you will never make it, then your actions will eventually reflect that belief. You will walk smaller, dream smaller, and live smaller because you have convinced yourself that is all you are capable of. But when you choose to speak life into yourself, when you begin to remind yourself daily that you are worthy, that you are capable, that you are built for greatness, everything about the way you move begins to change. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you create by the words you speak to yourself every single day. Self-belief is not arrogance, it is fuel. Without it, no matter how much potential you have, you will run out of strength before you even begin the journey. Belief shapes behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. If you believe you can succeed, you will find the courage to try, and when you try, you create opportunities for growth. If you believe you are defeated before you start, you won't even give yourself the chance to win. The difference between the person who rises and the one who stays stuck is often nothing more than belief. The most successful people are not always the most talented, but they are the ones who believed in themselves long enough to keep moving when others quit. The mind has a way of filtering reality based on what you believe. If you think you're not worthy of success, you will ignore opportunities even when they are right in front of you. If you think you don't deserve love, you will push away people who are ready to give it. If you think you are destined to struggle forever, you will sabotage every chance to rise above. On the other hand, if you carry a mindset of worthiness, you will see doors where others only see walls. If you believe abundance is possible, you will recognize chances to grow where others only see scarcity. Your mind will always look for evidence to match your beliefs. So if you want to change your life, you must first change the way you speak to yourself. Speaking positively to yourself doesn't mean you deny reality. It doesn't mean you ignore challenges or pretend that everything is easy. It means you choose to focus on possibility instead of limitation. When setbacks come, instead of telling yourself this is the end, you remind yourself this is just part of the process. When failure shows up, instead of saying, I'm not good enough, you tell yourself, I'm still learning and I'll get better. The language you use in those tough moments will either break your spirit or strengthen it. By investing in positive self-talk, you are training your mind to be resilient, to push forward, and to see light even in the darkest seasons. It is also important to remember that self-belief grows through repetition. One affirmation won't change your life, but daily affirmations can rewire your thinking. You may not believe the words at first, but if you keep speaking them, they will start to shape your inner world. Confidence is built like a muscle, and every time you choose to speak power into yourself, you are exercising that muscle. Over time, it becomes second nature, and you start to carry yourself differently. People can see it in the way you walk, hear it in the way you talk, and feel it in the way you enter a room. Self-belief is magnetic. And when you truly believe in yourself, others are drawn to that energy. When you stop waiting for external validation and start giving yourself internal validation, you unlock a new level of freedom. You are no longer at the mercy of other people's opinions. You don't need constant approval because you have already approved of yourself. That kind of belief makes you dangerous in the best way because nothing outside of you can shake the foundation you've built inside. The more you pour into your mindset, the stronger you become. And the stronger you become, the more opportunities you attract. Belief is the soil from which action grows, and action is what turns dreams into reality. Investing in yourself is not just about acquiring money-making skills. It is about pouring into every part of your being, your health, your spirit, and your peace of mind. Too often people chase success so hard that they sacrifice the very things that allow them to enjoy it once they get there. What good is wealth if your body is too weak to carry it? Or if your mind is too burdened to appreciate it? True investment in yourself is holistic. It is about making sure your physical health, your emotional balance, and your inner peace are strong enough to sustain the life you're working so hard to create. If you neglect those things, success can feel empty, and happiness will always seem out of reach, no matter how much you achieve. Your health is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without energy, without strength, without vitality, you cannot fully pursue your goals. Too many people ignore this truth until it's too late, pushing their bodies to the edge in pursuit of success, only to find that the cost was greater than they expected. Taking care of your body is one of the most valuable investments you can ever make. Eating well, exercising regularly, getting enough rest, and protecting your energy are not luxuries, they are necessities. Every time you choose to put healthy fuel into your body, every time you choose movement over laziness, every time you choose sleep over endless distractions, you are making a deposit that will pay off in clarity, strength, and endurance. When your health is strong, your mind is sharper, and your focus is clearer, and your ability to perform at a high level multiplies. Just as your body needs care, your spirit needs attention. Life is not just about what you do, but about who you are becoming. If you chase achievement without nurturing your spirit, you will always feel a void, no matter how high you climb. Investing in your spirit means spending time in reflection, prayer, or meditation. It means connecting with something greater than yourself, something that gives you strength when you are weak, hope when you are discouraged, and purpose when you feel lost. The storms of life will come, and without spiritual grounding, they can break you. But when you have taken the time to invest in your spirit, you develop a resilience that cannot be shaken. You may bend, but you will not snap, because you are rooted in something deeper than circumstance. Peace of mind is another priceless investment. In a world filled with constant noise, endless comparison, and nonstop demands, peace can feel rare, but it is one of the most valuable things you can own. When your mind is cluttered with worry, fear, and stress, it robs you of focus and drains you of energy. But when you invest in practices that protect your peace, whether that's setting boundaries, limiting toxic influences, unplugging from negativity, or simply learning how to say no, you create space for clarity. That clarity allows you to make better decisions, to see opportunities more clearly, and to navigate challenges without being consumed by them. Peace of mind is not something you stumble upon. It is something you intentionally protect by deciding what deserves your energy and what does not. There is also a deeper truth here. Money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy health, it cannot buy spiritual strength, and it cannot buy true peace. Those are things only you can build, and they require intentional investment. You don't need a fortune to eat better, to breathe deeply, to take a walk, to spend time with yourself in silence, or to cultivate gratitude. These are small investments that yield massive returns over time. The person who invests in these areas becomes unshakable, because even when circumstances change, they carry within themselves the health, the spirit, and the peace to endure. When you invest in yourself in this complete way, you create a life that is not only successful, but also fulfilling. You can chase your goals without losing yourself in the process. You can reach higher without crumbling under the weight. You can achieve greatness and still feel whole, because your investment has not been in one area alone, but in the balance of body, mind, and spirit. Every failure you experience in life is not a dead end. It is tuition you are paying toward your future. When you shift your mindset to see failure as an investment rather than a loss, everything changes. The truth is, nobody succeeds without stumbling. Nobody climbs without slipping. And nobody builds anything worthwhile without breaking through mistakes along the way. The problem is that most people are so afraid of failure that they never even start. And because of that fear, they rob themselves of the very lessons that could lead them to success. But when you understand that every setback is part of the education that life gives you, you stop running from failure and start learning from it. Failure doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you're being shaped into someone who can handle what you're asking for. Think about it like this. If you want to be great at anything, you have to go through the process of falling short first. A child doesn't learn to walk without falling down, and an athlete doesn't reach peak performance without countless hours of mistakes and missed attempts. Every one of those falls is tuition. Every mistake is a down payment on wisdom. Every rejection is a deposit into your resilience. Over time, all of those investments compound, and they turn you into someone strong enough and wise enough to carry the success that once felt impossible. If you try to avoid failure, you avoid the very process that was meant to prepare you for what you want. Failures also have a way of showing you who you really are. They strip away the comfort, the excuses, and the illusions and force you to face your character. Will you quit when things get hard, or will you rise when things go wrong? Failure is the mirror that reveals your grit, your perseverance, and your faith. And the people who achieve extraordinary things are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to let failure define them. They use failure as feedback, as a teacher, as a guide, and because of that, they grew stronger after every fall. When you view failures as tuition, you no longer waste time beating yourself up about them. You stop asking, why me, and start asking, what can I learn from this? That shift changes your energy completely. Instead of drowning in regret, you swim in growth. Instead of being paralyzed by shame, you move forward with wisdom. Every great story you've ever heard, every person you've admired has a history filled with setbacks that could have stopped them. The only difference is that they decided not to let the story end there. They turned the page and kept writing. Another powerful truth about failure is that it creates resilience. When you've been knocked down and you've learned how to get back up, you stop fearing the fall. You know that no matter how hard you hit the ground, you have the strength to rise again. That confidence is priceless because it makes you bold. It allows you to take risks that others are too afraid to take. And those risks are often the very ones that lead to breakthrough. Fear of failure keeps people stuck, but respect for failure as a teacher sets people free. There's also something beautiful about looking back on your failures after you've grown from them. You begin to see that the very moments you once thought were the end were actually the turning points. The doors that closed were making way for better doors. The rejections were redirections. The mistakes were molding you. And the losses were lessons you couldn't have learned any other way. What once felt like pain begins to look like preparation. And you realize that all of it was part of your investment into a bigger future. When you treat failure as tuition, you also give yourself permission to keep trying. You don't expect perfection, you expect progress. You understand that setbacks are not signals to stop, but invitations to grow. And as long as you keep paying into that future with effort, resilience, and learning, you can be confident that the return will be greater than the struggle it took to get there.